Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here. I want to do a quick class. It needs to be really quick because I'm almost out of battery power. But I'm looking here in Deuteronomy chapter 31. I'm looking particularly at verse 9 through 13. But I wanted to share 8 and 14 just in case you was curious. This is what was going on beforehand. And what was going on beforehand was Moses is about to pass away. These all the way back here in Deuteronomy chapter 31. Moses is about to die. In fact, in this chapter, he's actually telling him. But one thing that stood out to me is when Moses started laying down the law. He says, "Hey, I'm about to die," and then he wrote down his law for Joshua that you can read beforehand. And then when he the first thing he starts off with is talking about tabernacles. And that's what we wanted the class to be about. Look here at verse 9. He says, "And Moses wrote this law and delivered it unto the priests of the sons of Levi, which bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and unto the elders of Israel." Now we could talk about this verse all day long, but we got battery issues, and so but what he's talking about here is now Deuteronomy is the word Deuteronomy means something like second law. So I believe he's talking about the book of Deuteronomy was the one that was actually read during the Feast of Tabernacles. But let's go on. "And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, in the solemnity of the year of release, in the Feast of Tabernacles." So every 7 years, we're supposed to have a year of release. You read that all throughout the Bible. They're supposed to only plant for 6 years. Well, in that seventh year, another thing that was supposed to happen, not only were they not supposed to plant that seventh year, but everything, there's supposed to be a year of release where people were, released of debts, released of burdens, and different kind of stuff that you can read. Verse 11 says, and all of, I'm really almost done now. "And when all of Israel is come to appear before me, the Lord thy God, in a place which he shall choose." Now, the place that he shall choose, guys, I believe he's talking about that temple, that third temple that's being built inside of us in our hearts and minds. I believe that's what he's talking about. I always wonder where that place keeps saying, in a place that he shall choose. Like, where is he going to choose? Well, I think I understand now, and I think it's something to do with, spiritual, and it's in a spiritual, type of environment with those many mansions he was talking about. But he says, "Thou shalt read this law before all of Israel in their hearing." So so if it's all this spiritual stuff that I was just talking about, how are we gonna do this last part? It says read, before all of Israel in their hearing. I don't know. Well, they just figure it out. But I think the point of what he's saying here is that every, sabbatical year, we're supposed to have this year of release, and we're supposed to read the law. Now, there's a lot of people, speculating on whether we're in the Jubilee or whether we're in a whether we're in a sabbatical year. So this is important. Well, so we ought to consider ourselves going ahead and read this. Now, read the law during the Feast of Tabernacles is what I'm saying. You're supposed to read the law during the Feast of Tabernacles. Should be the title of this video. But let's run on. It says, "Gather the people together, men and women and children, and a stranger that is within our gates, everybody, that they may hear the law, that they may learn and fear the Lord your God, and observe to do all of the words of this law." Okay, so this is important during the Feast of Tabernacles to read the law to everybody. Watch what happens in verse 13. And that their children, which have not known anything, may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as ye live in the land whither ye go over Jordan to possess it. So it's saying, hey, you read this law in front of the strangers and everybody, so that their children can learn, to fear the Lord. And that's how we learn who the Lord is through reading and such. But and then Moses goes on to talk about his death there. Now I'm going to wrap this up. Again, in conclusion to this little short video. Well, it ain't that short. But in conclusion, one of the things that we are supposed to be doing during the Feast of Tabernacles is reading the law. Now, is it Deuteronomy? Is it Leviticus? I believe it's Deuteronomy, but we could do further study, and we could do some meditation and praying on that. Where I'm going, I beat the battery, man. I won this time. Jesus is Lord. Yahushua HaMashiach is Jesus. Hermes Academy. Power, patience, continence, and faith. We teach virtue.